legend warns residents about the frightful loup, a vicious, snarling werewolf prowling through the province's dense forests. According to French-Canadian folklore, the werewolf creeps through the darkness searching for a hearty meal of unsuspecting hunters and trappers. Traditional tales about werewolves are found in French-Canadian and European folklore. The loup is also known as a werewolf. A werewolf is generally believed to be a person who can change into an animal form, often as a wolf. In French-Canadian folklore, the werewolf is often a dog. It may also take the form of a calf, a small ox, a pig, a cat, or even an owl. The werewolf is believed to be a cursed man. In the French-Canadian tradition, a werewolf is often guilty of not being a good Christian. A spell could last as long as 101 days. It would take hold of the victim every evening. They were then forced to wander the countryside in animal form. The spell might be broken if someone recognized the individual while transformed and could draw blood from the animal. Neither person could speak of this incident for fear of worse reprisals. French-Canadian werewolf stories were generally less violent. This is unlike versions found in the United States and in Europe. Modern popular descriptions of werewolves from movies are very different from traditional French-Canadian tales. The Gazette de Quebec reports that werewolves are on the loose in the colony. This was far from the first werewolf to terrorize Quebec. There have been sightings of werewolves in New France since 1600. Suspects were regularly tried, convicted, and burned at the stake when the French settlers left Europe for Canada. They brought those fears with them to live on the edges of their empire. But in some ways, the Quebec werewolves that terrorized the early Canadian settlers were different from the Hollywood beasts they're familiar with today. The werewolves of 1767 had been stalking through the colony for years. The werewolf had been spotted outside the stone walls of Quebec City. It was in disguise as a beggar to better stalk its prey. The most recent sighting suggested the creature had been heading in the direction of Montreal. The newspaper warned its readers to be careful. It is recommended to the public to be as cautious of him as it would be of ravenous wolf. Gazette openly worried that the werewolf might even be as dangerous as the infamous beast of Gévaudan. For the last 3 years, the French countryside had been terrorized by an actual real-life werewolf, or more likely a pack of wolves that tore out the throats of farmers and villagers. The beast is thought to have killed more than 100 people in the southern France. Eventually, royal troops were sent to the region to track down the wolf and kill it. Some people would later claim the beast of Gévaudan, finally brought down by a hunter who shot the animal with a silver bullet. The paper gave a chilling warning. Beware then of the wails of the malicious beast, and take good care of falling into its claws. But then the trail goes mysteriously cold. That seems to be the last of the Gazette's reports about the werewolf of Quebec City. He disappears without a trace. So perhaps the story was nothing but rumors, or the werewolf was merely an ordinary animal that was eventually killed without fanfare. Or maybe you'd prefer to imagine the werewolf is still alive out there somewhere, stalking through the countryside and cities of Quebec.